So the timer's going to start in 3, 2, 1, now.
Hello everyone, my name is Yimeng Yuan. My topic is finding focus in a fast-paced time. We live in a fast-paced time. To borrow a phrase from Oratory, it always seems that the time train is pulling out of the station just as we reach the platform. No matter how fast we go, no matter how cleverly we schedule, there are never enough hours in the day. The clock is ticking, tracking our progress, urging us not to fall behind. But does living a fast-paced life really benefit us? There was a young man in Japan who worked up to 90 hours a week. After a few years, he died at the age of 26. Even though there are few cases in the world, you can still see signs of pressure caused by high pace. Another example. Pretend you're a tourist in Changsha going to the IFS, but you don't know the way. Then here comes a bus. You politely ask the driver, "Does this go to the IFS?" It doesn't, and he's in a hurry, so he shakes his head and shuts the door in your face. So you start walking. When you finally arrive near the IFS, you ask someone, "Excuse me, what road takes me to the IFS?" They think for a second, and answer in a vague way, "There." You turn to look where they're pointing, but don't see which street to take. You turn back to ask them again, and they have vanished into thin air. It was my impression that all people around the world would do this, until I met a driver a few months ago in Australia that moved me deeply. It was around Chinese New Year, just when COVID-19 was raging in China. We were heading back to our hotel when we got to the train station. We were not sure which platform to board. We happened to see in Australia a man who we hoped could help us. He was, I think, 30 years old. He was tall. I walked up to him and asked politely if he could tell us which station would bring us close to our hotel. I was expecting to be treated like a burden or a spreader of the virus, and he would answer in a vague way, "Don't walk away like most Chinese do when there's a stranger." But I was wrong. He answered in such an earnest tone of voice that I almost jumped in surprise. He then told us a bunch of useful things, finally ending with, "You can take this light rail," pointing to the train beside him. "Oh, okay," I replied, and thanked him for the time he spent with us. We hurried to buy a ticket, but then he stopped us in a relaxed way. He said, "No need to panic, I'm the driver." After we bought 3 tickets, we went inside the train. The driver pointed to a map and told us which station would bring us close to our hotel. At that point, I was touched. I had never met a person who was so earnestly trying to help me, except in my best friend or family. Then I marveled at how having a slow-paced life could affect a person. To dive into life, rather than skim the surface of it, can sometimes really benefit our society. In a life of slow motion, people get to understand each other better. They tend to be more relaxed, more real, and they have a lower stress rate. So, with a slower pace, we should dive deeper into life, feel its texture, taste its flavor. The question then is, how can we decrease stress among our own people, specifically here in China? There are countless answers to this question, but here are my solutions. The first is that you need to be in a good environment, one that encourages you to focus on a single task or person without being distracted. A place where you can be mindful about how you spend your time and energy. The second one, of course, is to start from yourself. How? The answer is easy. Be less stressful. Focus more on the present. Enjoy life a little bit more. Thirdly, we should influence others. Let people feel they're important. Treat them in an earnest and friendly way, like the driver in Australia treated me. If we all try, I'm sure the world will be a less stressful place. Slower steps, so that the view around you is clear. Thank you.
好，谢谢你的精彩表现。我们给裁判留点时间，稍微写一下评分单。 另外，刚才后面有几位同学啊，在那个同学讲的过程中，还是在有交头接耳或者有比较大的声音，注意一下。如果再这样，我们当场把你请出去。好，我们有请第2位演讲选手王楚清同学。
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Wang Chuqing, and today the topic of my talk is about social phobia. I want to ask you some questions at the beginning of my speech. Are you afraid of speaking in the public? Are you afraid of making friends with strangers? Or are you afraid of saying hello when you meet someone you know? If you are, you may say you have social phobia. Do you call the waiter in a restaurant when the bill needs to be paid? And you shall stop in the bus when it comes to your stop. Well, if you don't, you may still say you have social phobia. Do you eat and sit in a corner instead of sitting in front of others when you go to KTV? And do you prefer ordering takeout on phones to have a face-to-face conversation in a restaurant? If the answer is yes, you may of course use social phobia to describe yourself. But are these behaviors really a form of social phobia? The answer is no. Because social phobia is a chronic mental health condition which can be only diagnosed by a professional, not by you. So what you believed was probably wrong. You just don't have good communication skills and you're naturally reserved. In other words, no one is born as a speaker and no one is born cheerful. So having social problems or fearing of social interaction doesn't mean you have social phobia. Then, why do you label yourself as socially phobic? That's because we work, we live, we study in a group. We need to socialize in all kinds of ways. And social events often stipulate the specific behavior and etiquette of those involved. For example, if a guest comes to your home, so what would you, the host, do to show your hospitality? And if there is another gathering, where participants are of different identities, so what words and deeds would you expect to manage to show you are well educated? And if in a classroom, the teachers give a task of making a speech or having a discussion with your classmates, then how to complete to get a good performance really matter. However, for some people, these are all opportunities for growth, while it is also mean great stress for other people, which leads to suffering. So social skills are unavoidable in our life and we must have them. The problem is how to overcome social fear. First of all, we must take the initiative to communicate with others face to face. Second, we can take part in our speech to show ourselves to the public. The inner fear is overcome. Last but not the least, we must be present, because social skills need to be developed slowly. But actually, doing it requires overcoming psychological barriers. All in all, I believe that as long as you keep honing or forcing yourself, overcoming social problems will not be a problem. That's all. Thank you.
好，谢谢。 好，我们有请第3位决赛选手牟嘉瑞同学。
My name is Mo Jare, and I'm going to start my speech now. When I decided to participate in this talk show, many topics come out in my mind, such as saving energy, environmental protection, caring for food, and so on. I didn't make up my mind until I watched the movie, The Bucket List. After watching the movie, I fell into deep thought. What should I do if I only have 6 months left in my life? Is it too late? Death is the same course for all of us. Nobody can escape from it. But we rarely think about death in our daily life when everything goes peacefully. We think death is far away from us. When we're forced to face death, we realize that life is full of regrets. The Bucket List is a movie about 2 elderly strangers who suffered from cancer and live in the same world. One named Carter was a mechanic, and the other named Edward was a billionaire. When they were told they only have 6 months left in their life, these 2 strangers with very different identities become partners. They were so eager to live that they made their bucket list. Finally, they put everything down and implement their bucket list one by one, such as laugh until I cry, witness something truly majestic, help a stranger with kindness. Edward and Carter made a great journey. They went skydiving, they raced cars, they saw south in a jeep and across the Africa grassland like children. They aimed the sky and shot the gun like a strong young man. They traveled the Great Wall in China. They visited the pyramid in Egypt. They even wanted to climb the Mount Everest. During the journey, Edward helped Carter find the true self which had always been hidden by numerous stuffing in his life, while Carter helped Edward get back the ability to love others important in his life. Even though nobody escaped from death at last, both of them fulfilled their own life. In fact, life and death are very serious topics for middle school students. When I watched the movie and heard 2 questions they talk about in the end of their life. Have you found joy in your life? Has your life brought joy to others? I was shocked a lot. Before watching the movie, I always had to study and care less about others. Sometimes I felt so stressful and find that life become colorless. This movie gives me a great lesson to explore the meaning of my life. It leads me to think again and again. What's the most meaningful thing in my limited life? Have I missed something important in my life? In the morning, when I get up so healthily and I still complain why I need to get up so early. In the evening, when my mom cooked me delicious food and I didn't say thank you. After dinner, I left bits and pieces of food on the table and get back to the room over and over again with the same excuse, I need to study. Old days fly in my mind just like a film. I suddenly realized the meaning of life is not fearing about future because we never know when future ends. The true meaning of life is not complaining about bad things happening in life either. The true meaning of life is to be alive and to live grateful and kindly. I'm so grateful that I live in this peaceful and harmony world. Even though I can't get high scores as high as I expect, but I know there's still something worth fighting for, and that's why I'm standing here, and that is also the reason why I can't lose. I sit back peacefully in front of my desk. I can't stop diving into the sea of knowledge, and I know it's my responsibility to learn hard now. But I deeply realize what I learned today will support me to create another very different tomorrow, and that very different tomorrow will not only about me, but about many other people around me, because I decided to do something to bring joy to others. I'll end up my speech with the words in Forrest Gump. Death is just a part of life. It's something we're all destined to do. I don't know it, but I know I'll try my best. Is it too late? Thank you.
我们有请第4位原创演讲的决赛选手刘金荣同学。
Hello everyone, I'm Liu Jinrong, a 12-year-old girl. I was born and raised in Changsha. In my spare time, I always tell jokes and are happy, so I'm considered to be humorous and funny. Maybe you ask me why I have so many stories and inspirations. I will tell the reason. The reason is that I really enjoy reading books. So today, my topic is Let's Read Books. Thousands of years ago, the world's first book was born. After that, people began to acquire sufficient knowledge through reading books. But now, people don't do that again. They get computers and cell phones. They're becoming more inclined to search information online and read in a piecemeal manner. A study shows that most people believe that books will be replaced by online communication, such as WeChat, Twitter, and so on. However, I don't agree with that. Books are my old friends in my growth. I still remember my childhood. I used to immerse myself in all kinds of books. They brought me to different worlds. In these worlds, I can fly in the air with Peter Pan, play with Pippi no stocking in the forest, swim in the ocean with Mao Mao. It's amazing. Books can not only show me a colorful world, but also, as Gorky says, inspire people's wisdom and soul. Just imagine, when you are frustrated in your work or study, there is a good book waiting for you at home. You pick up a book, forget yourself, become one of the rules, inspirations, something different or the same, and then you are deeply moved. When you finally step out the word of the book, maybe you'll find something different in your heart. You recover from the disappointed and regain your strength. What an amazing thing it is. Every book I have read, the one impressed me most is Mao Mao. It tells a story about a little girl named Mao Mao, who's in the world by herself. It tells me that a person should never give up. And it also tells me the spirit of struggle. In addition, Professor Philip David from UK believes that books can make people more clever. It can activate both the left and right hemispheres of the brain. In a word, books give us a bigger world. inspire our wisdom, and make us more clever. Finally, I would like to end my speech with a sentence from Shakespeare. Books are healthy food in our life. If life without books is like life without sunlight. Wisdom without books is like bird without wings. Let's enjoy the sunshine. Let's wave our wings. Let's read books. Thank you.
接下来我们有请第5位演讲决赛选手陈玉洲同学。
Hello everyone, my name is Yu Zhou Chen. I'm great honor to give another speech about books to you. Before my speech begins, I want to ask you a question. Do you like reading books? Yes. Yeah, spending time on reading books can be enjoyable. If you read a good book, you can get more knowledge from it. A really good book can broaden your horizons and can even clear your soul. As a famous saying goes, books are the leader of human progress. But do you know how to read a book? This problem makes many people run into serious trouble. Some books are useless for you. They can also lead you into a wrong way. Some books writers write a book without any foundation. They falsify the history to actualize their purposes. Winston Churchill, a former British Prime Minister, was named the greatest man in Great Britain. He had written a book which was called Churchill's Biography. In this book, he praises himself that he is one of the greatest men in the world. But we should ask ourselves the question, did Churchill really do well in helping the Great Britain with going to the glory? The answer must be false. In fact, Churchill is not a hero. He is such a black sheep in his country. Before the First and Second World Wars, the UK has a mighty name. The sun never sets on the British Empire. It had an area of more than 30 million square kilometers large. How vast it was! But under his control, the sun never sets in the past became some small islands which were only 224,000 square kilometers. It's very small, right? Britain won all the world, but lost most of the territory, so much money, and got off the chair of the ruler in the world. They lost Australia, lost South Africa, lost India, lost Canada, and owed lots of debts. So, Churchill is not a hero. His autobiography tells too many lies. A famous educator convention said, to believe everything in books is worse than to have no books at all. So, how to read a book? I have 4 pieces of advice. First, think as you read a book. If you think when you are reading, you can find out more knowledge from it and can tell whether the book you read is good or bad. Second, read with a skeptical attitude. You cannot believe the books all, or you will know less. Third, take notes while you are busy reading. This is a fantastic habit which can help you a lot. Finally, read without any distracting thoughts. This can help you to read more carefully. Then you can say you read a book. If you follow all these 4 points very well, you will be a good reader. Just as a famous saying goes, reading makes people perfect. Books are boats in the sea of study. Books are paths on the mountain of learning. So, read books widely. The benefits are endless. Let's fall in love with books, shall we? Thank you for listening.
好，我们有请第6位决赛选手刘定威同学。
Hello everyone, my name is Liu Dingwei. Today my topic's name is All the Dots Will Be Connected in the Future. So one day when I was looking for some information on the internet, I came across a piece of news article while reading and I opened it. It was an introduction to the new computer that China has recently invented. And this was no ordinary computer. This is a supercomputer by the name of Milky Way 1 with a calculating speed of around a billion times per second, or a quintillion, 10 to the power of 18, fastest in the world. I was deeply impressed, but then I saw someone's comment written at the end of the article. It was very long, but it was basically saying that he did not approve of China's behavior because he thought it's not worth China investing in if you just fiddle a few computers together and they'd be entitled to be called a supercomputer. I really do want to ask this guy, hey dude, you might think the invention of a supercomputer with a calculating force of around a billion times per second, which means the number of sand in the world combined, not amazing or useful, but our country certainly does. As for your second idea, for your information, you have to put 5 million normal computers together to match the power of the supercomputer, so no chance, dude. This is a typical example of being narrow-minded and ignorant. And although we can't know the true value and the purpose of the power of the supercomputer straight away, I believe in the future our descendants will be able to further probe the values and the deepest secrets of the power of the supercomputer. And there's something even more important. You can't know something's true value straight away when it's created, because it's just like what Steve Jobs once said, all the dots will be connected one way or another. But to prove this theory, I want to dig a little deeper and take a look at some of the greatest physicists in time. So about 350 years ago, there walked the great founder of physics, Newton. Actually, when Newton first discovered the theory of gravity, he did not know it would be so much use. In the end, it was no more than a discovery in the long history of time, and one that made a young man proud and famous. And it did little to no impact upon the societal problems at that time. So we count that as basically useless. But now we can see how beneficial it is, because it's a rule that cannot be broken in any case. In the 20th century, Einstein's theories of relativity, space, and light shocked the world again and again. These discoveries connected with the dark before the discovery of gravity, and it made a young clerk this time proud and famous. But it's the same as Newton's discovery, no impact on the society, so we count that as basically useless. But we can see now how important it is to all of science progresses. Then there came Peter Higgs, who discovered the Higgs field. Then there came the discovery of quantum fields and quantum mechanics. And then there was the creation of the Super Hadron Collider, which in theory can create mini black holes. Even now, we're beginning to doubt the basis and the true identity of three-dimensional space itself and black holes. Isn't that ludicrous? And it was all beginning with an apple falling on a young physicist's head. It's ludicrous, but it's true, it's real. But now let's pull ourselves from the long lake of time and see what inspiration these examples have given me. Just like what I said in the beginning of my speech, what Steve Jobs once said, everything has a connection with the same categorical, or even not the same categorical things. And everything has a much greater value than you've ever imagined. The books you once read, the memories you once experienced, and the people you've liked and loved, they're all meaningful. And this is something important that you must realize. Just like in the movie Wandering Earth, the boy's father tells the boy at the beginning of the movie when he was 5, look, there's Jupiter, the largest planet in the solar system. 90% of it's hydrogen. This may have seemed like a small science lecture at the time, but 12 years later, it saved Earth. Now the circumstances may not be that crazy, but the conclusion for it is the same. Perhaps 50 years from now, one of our people's descendants will use this supercomputer that we've created now and perhaps calculate things like exactly how many species exist in the universe. At that time, its true value will be revealed, and it will be the center of all the calculation and technological findings in the future. Everything has a much greater value than you've ever imagined, and we'll be surprised. As long as we continue to probe the deepest heart and the value of the secret of the universe, we will always get more than we've ever wanted. And remember, everything is a pearl in a long history of time, and they will finally add up to become the crown of victory. Thank you.
Wuhan at the end of 2019 and acquired the rapid expanding to the whole country and even the whole world. Numerous doctors and researchers have been devoting themselves to the pandemic. A great deal of data suggests that the COVID-19 most probably originates from the bats, which have become the national concern and target of people's anger in a moment. However, are bats really the root of the COVID-19? All of these may lead to a more serious social issue. Should we ban wild animal killing and eating? With the rising standard of living in China, people are much better now, and it seems to be fashionable for them to eat wild meat for the sake of their greed, vanity, and ignorance. But it turns out to be a punishment for preying and eating the wild animals with the waves of virus striking our human beings' heart. Human beings are an objective factor in the survival of wild animals. If everyone loves animals as much as he cares for himself, there will be no more gunshots in the forest and no wild animals on our tables. Protecting wild animals is significant to the present as well as future generations. The Mother Nature requires that different species stay connected so that extinction of one special species might influence one or more other species along the line. If we, as human beings, stand at the top of the pyramid of ecosystem, our survival is totally dependent on the existence of other lower animals. Therefore, protecting wild animals can be a preventive step for humans to remain safe. This has become particularly urgent in a new era because the novel coronavirus outbreak teaches us a good lesson. It is high time for us to take a quick action to protect wild animals. First of all, it's quite necessary for every citizen to realize the importance of animal protection. Only by knowing its importance can people develop a sense of responsibility. People will surely take it for granted to have the duty to prevent any killing of wild animals. In addition, the government should pass rigorous laws to prohibit any hunting or selling of wild animals. If everyone is involved in the protection of wildlife voluntarily and selflessly, we will be proud to say nature balance and harmony of all life on the earth is no more a mirage but a reality. Thank you.